Jack was really goofy. He just was so lighthearted in so many ways, a serious guy, thoughtful, but he would just joke around a lot. He'd had funny sayings and he would make up words. Jack was about 10 years old when he decided that he wanted to become a Navy SEAL. For the next 6 years, 5 to 6 days a week, he woke up at 4:30 in the morning and walked to the gym to lift weights and work out. Looking back to different things he was involved in, like the Explorers, and he did the Civil Air Patrol for several years and learned how to fly, and he was dedicated to his future in serving others.
I first met Jack and his father when they came to our open house that we had. I saw this kid just standing there staring at one of the poster boards, and I went up and introduced myself, and I said, "What do you like?" And his response was, "Oh." I said, "All right, well, we can work on that."
Because Matt showed him, I think, and the Explorers program showed him what it meant to serve and love and be strong all at the same time. That's sometimes a really, really hard thing to do. So about 8 months ago, I had just gone in to get some groceries, and I had gotten in my car, and my sister Shelly was calling on the phone, and so I answered, and she said, "Charis, where are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm at the grocery store. I'm just in the parking lot." And she's like, "Okay, just stay right there. Just stay right there. I'll be right there." And my heart sank. Jack had recently purchased a motorcycle, and of course, as his mom, I'd been praying and praying he would be okay. I'd given him to God, but as a mom, I was concerned for his safety. So I waited in the car for Shelly, my sister, to come. And it was the most excruciating 20 minutes of my life. I was shaking. I didn't know what had happened or what was going on, but I knew it wasn't good. I was looking all over for her to come, and I saw her pull up and police officers, and I knew it was bad. So I got out of the car and I yelled to Shelly, "Shelly, is it Jack?" And she said so strongly and so lovingly, she said, "Charis, he didn't make it." Those were her words, and those words will stay with me forever. I immediately fell to the ground. I remember the pavement was so hot on my face and my hands, but at the same time, I felt like I was floating above everybody. I can tell you that Shelly was here. Rochelle, the chaplain, was there. I saw Matt walking up.
Rochelle was on scene at the time that I got there of the accident, and she basically asked me, what can we do? What do you need from me? And how can we make this work? I told Rochelle that I knew the family personally, and I think she said she did as well. She knew Charis. So between the two of us, we started working on contacts, and we just worked together as a team, and I've never seen anything like it before, where the chaplains and the police officers were able to work together and find a solution quickly and be able to get support to the individuals ASAP, essentially.
So Shelly and Rochelle and all the officers came around me and they lifted me up. I remember one officer was just rubbing my back. I remember how that helped to ground me in the moment. And what do you say? What do you say to somebody in that time? But their presence was huge. Rochelle and Shelly were working out logistics of who would drive the cars and where we would go. And they helped me in the car. Rochelle drove my car so that I could sit with my sister in the back seat. We were driving to my parents' house, and Rochelle noticed that the car was out of gas just about. So she stopped and filled it up with gas. Matt was following us, and I saw him get out of the car, and I got out of the car immediately and ran over and got a big hug from him. I had never met him at that point yet. I'd only heard of him.
I've never seen anybody more emotionally distraught than that in my life. I felt so bad because I felt her pain. I don't have any children of my own, but those explorers were essentially my own children.
When terrible things happen, when the unimaginable happens, we cry out to God for help. We say, God, help us, help us. And so often, the people who he sends are police officers and chaplains and first responders. That's who he sends to be a comfort and to give his peace. They are the face of his love, of his assurance that it's going to be okay. And I felt that so strongly that day through Rochelle and Matt and the other officers. I'm so grateful. We drove to my parents and went inside, and Rochelle and the other officers came along, and at that point I wasn't saying a lot or didn't have my thoughts about me, so they were able to talk to my parents and to help me. I needed to let my daughters know, and Sean, and I needed to call them. And of course, I didn't know how to do that, or didn't know what to say or how to go about doing that. They were far away, I couldn't be with them. So Rochelle talked me through that, and she told me that it's okay. And I remember one thing in particular she said to me. She said, none of this is easy. There's no right answer. There's no good way to do this, but you can do it. And she encouraged me, and so then one by one I called everybody and let them know what had happened. I'm very glad she was there to talk me through that, because that was a very hard thing to do. I have a new appreciation for law enforcement and first responders and chaplains who every day put themselves in situations that are traumatic, that are ugly, that are dark. I can see now how difficult it might be to find and see the good and beautiful things that are here. I'm thankful for them, and I want to say to all of them that their presence is God's love and comfort to people, and that God is good and he is great. I can stand here today, sit here today, having lost my only son, and I have full assurance that God is good and he is great and there is beauty. And I pray now very regularly for law enforcement officers, and I don't take them for granted.